The stars looked different from the bridge of the UNS Adamantine Fury. Admiral Keiko Chen stood with her hands behind her back, watching the blue and green world of Terra 9 growing larger on the main screen. It was beautiful. Gardens covered most of the land. Rivers sparkled in the sunlight. Cities spread across 3 continents, their lights twinkling even in daytime. 300,000 human colonists had called this place home for 12 years. Now they called it a prison. Admiral, we're receiving multiple signals from the Valorian occupation fleet, Lieutenant Marcus Webb said from his station. His young face looked tense. 40 ships total. They're demanding we leave Valorian territory immediately. Chen allowed herself a cold smile. Valorian territory. They stole this world 6 months ago with paperwork and corrupt judges. Tell me, Lieutenant, when did slavery become legal in the galaxy? It's not slavery, ma'am, Webb replied quietly. According to the Galactic Council, it's debt servitude. The colonists signed contracts they couldn't understand, took loans they couldn't repay, and now they work to pay their debts. For 300 years, Chen said, with interest rates that double every decade. Their children are born into debt. Their grandchildren will die in debt. That's slavery with extra steps, Lieutenant. The bridge crew remained silent. They all knew why they were here. They all knew what was coming. Some of them looked excited. Others looked sick. All of them looked determined. Open a channel to the Valorian fleet, Chen ordered. All frequencies. I want every ship, every station, every colony in this system to hear this. Channel open, Admiral. Chen stepped forward, her gray uniform crisp and perfect. Her dark eyes held no warmth, no mercy. She was 53 years old, and she had spent the last 15 years preparing for this moment. This is Admiral Keiko Chen of the United Nations Starship Adamantine Fury. To all Valorian forces in the Terra 9 system, you have 6 hours to evacuate every human colonist from the surface of Terra 9. Every man, every woman, every child. You will load them onto transports and deliver them to our ship. You will not harm them. You will not delay. You have 6 hours. The response came almost immediately. A Valorian appeared on the screen, his blue skin marked with golden patterns that indicated high rank. His 4 eyes narrowed with amusement. I am Fleet Commander Zolth. You command 1 ship. We command 40. You are either insane or suicidal. Leave now and we will forget this insult. You misunderstand, Chen said calmly. This is not a negotiation. This is not a threat. This is a notification. In 6 hours, if there are any humans remaining on Terra 9, we will demonstrate why humanity does not negotiate with slavers. You have 6 hours. She made a cutting gesture and Webb closed the channel. They're laughing at us, Admiral, Webb reported. Multiple ships are broadcasting mockery. They're calling us monkeys, primitives. One captain is taking bets on how quickly they'll destroy us. Let them laugh, Chen said. She turned to her weapons officer, Commander Sarah Okonkwo. Status on the planet killer array? Okonkwo's dark fingers danced across her console. All systems green, Admiral. Fusion bombs ready. Atmospheric ionizers charged. Mantle penetrators loaded. We can begin the sequence on your command. Good. Chen sat in her command chair. Now we wait. The 6 hours crawled by like years. The Valorian fleet maintained their positions around Terra 9, confident in their superiority. 40 ships against 1. The mathematics seemed simple. Some of the Valorian captains even broke formation, moving closer to the Adamantine Fury, scanning her with active sensors, analyzing her weapons, her shields, her engines. What they didn't understand was that the Adamantine Fury wasn't built to fight other ships. She was built to kill worlds. On the surface of Terra 9, the human colonists didn't know what was happening. The Valorians had cut all communications with Earth 14 months ago. The colonists worked in the fields and factories, hoping that someone, somewhere, remembered them. They prayed that Earth hadn't forgotten them. Earth had not forgotten. 5 minutes, Admiral, Webb announced. Chen stood. Have the Valorians moved any of the colonists? No, ma'am. They haven't even responded to our deadline. Then they've made their choice. Chen took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's future. This was the moment that would answer a question the galaxy didn't know it was asking. What happens when you push humans too far? Open a final channel, Chen ordered. All frequencies again. Channel open. This is Admiral Chen. This is your final warning. Evacuate the humans now or face the consequences. We are not bluffing. We are not weak. We are humanity. And we remember every insult, every crime, every injustice. You have enslaved our children. You have burned our homes. You have laughed at our pleas for justice. Today, you learn that when humans stop pleading, they start destroying. You have 2 minutes. Fleet Commander Zolth appeared on screen again. This time his amusement had turned to anger. You dare threaten the Valorian hegemony? You pathetic apes! We have conquered 47 star systems. We have crushed species far stronger than you. One of our corvettes could destroy your pathetic ship. Chen closed the channel. I'm tired of speeches. Commander Okonkwo, you may begin. Yes, Admiral. Okonkwo's voice was steady, professional. Initiating planet killer sequence. Launching mantle penetrators. From the belly of the adamantine fury, 12 missiles streaked toward Terra 9. They were not normal missiles. They carried no conventional warheads. Each one held a modified fusion bomb designed to burrow deep into a planet's crust before detonating. The Valorian fleet barely noticed them. Missiles were normal weapons. Their point defense systems could handle missiles, but these missiles weren't targeting the fleet. They dove straight into Terra 9's atmosphere, ignoring the Valorian ships entirely. Anti-missile fire lanced out, destroying 3 of them. The remaining 9 penetrated the atmosphere, scattered across the planet's surface, and began drilling. What are they doing? Zolth demanded over an open channel. Those missiles are targeting the planet, not us. Are you trying to attack your own people, you fools? Chen didn't answer. She simply watched as the 9 penetrators completed their work and detonated simultaneously. Terra 9 shuddered. Deep beneath the surface, 9 fusion explosions created massive pockets of superheated rock and magma. The planet's mantle, stable for millions of years, suddenly became unstable. Pressure built. Cracks spread, and then Terra 9 began to tear itself apart. Volcanoes erupted across 3 continents. Earthquakes measuring 9.5 and higher shattered cities. Lava flowed through streets where children had played just hours before. The atmosphere filled with ash and poisonous gases. The beautiful blue sky turned black. My God, Webb whispered. The entire tectonic structure is collapsing. Phase 2, Chen ordered. Deploy atmospheric ionizers. The adamantine fury launched a second wave of weapons. These didn't penetrate the surface. Instead, they detonated in the upper atmosphere, releasing clouds of specialized particles that reacted with Terra 9's ozone layer. Within minutes, the ozone began to break down. Within an hour, it would be gone. Lethal radiation from the system's sun would pour down on the surface, killing anything the volcanoes hadn't already destroyed. The Valorian fleet finally understood. This wasn't an attack on ships. This wasn't a battle. This was execution. This was extermination. This was a demonstration of humanity's willingness to destroy an entire world rather than leave their people in chains. You're insane, Zolth screamed over the channel. You're killing your own colonists. You're destroying a habitable world. Do you understand what you've done? I understand perfectly, Chen replied, her voice cold as deep space. We gave you 6 hours. You chose to do nothing. The colonists are dead because of you. This world is dead because of you. And now the galaxy will know what happens when you enslave humans. But they were your people. Yes, Chen said quietly. And we loved them enough to ensure they would never die as slaves. We loved them enough to make certain that their prison would become a tomb for Valorian ambitions. Tell your government, Fleet Commander. Tell the Galactic Council. Tell every species in every system. Humanity does not negotiate with slavers. Humanity does not plead with tyrants. Humanity destroys. Completely. Absolutely. Without mercy. The Valorian fleet broke formation. Ships scrambled to retreat to escape the system, to get away from the mad humans and their world-killing ship. The adamantine fury let them go. She had made her point. Terra 9 continued to die. The volcanoes raged. The atmosphere thinned. Radiation levels climbed to lethal levels. Within 48 hours, nothing would survive on the surface. Within a month, the world would be a barren rock, its once beautiful surface transformed into a radioactive wasteland. Admiral, Webb said hesitantly. The colonists. There were 300,000 people down there. I know, Lieutenant, Chen interrupted. She turned to face him, and he was shocked to see tears streaming down her face. I know exactly what we just did. I will carry their names in my heart until the day I die, but they were already dead, Lieutenant. The moment the Valorians enslaved them, they were dead. We simply ensured they didn't die for nothing. She turned back to the screen, watching Terra 9's death throes. Send a message to Earth Command. Mission complete. Terra 9 is no longer habitable. Estimated time until total atmospheric collapse, 43 hours. No survivors. Request permission to proceed to the next target. Next target, ma'am? The Valorians hold 17 worlds with human populations, Chen said. We're going to visit every single one, and we're going to give them the same choice. Release the humans or lose the planet. The Galactic Council wanted to play legal games? Fine, we'll show them a new kind of law. The law of consequences. The bridge crew sat in stunned silence. Some of them had thought this was just a rescue mission. Some had believed they would somehow save the colonists. Now they understood the truth. This wasn't a rescue mission. This was a crusade. A crusade that would paint the stars with ash and radiation. Admiral, Okonkwo said quietly, I'm receiving data from long-range sensors. There are 5 more ships emerging from FTL at the edge of the system. Chen smiled. It was not a kind smile. Let me guess. Yuan's relentless sorrow, Yuan's vindication, Yuan's last resort, Yuan's orphan's fury, and Yuan's cold equations? Yes, ma'am. How did you know? Because Earth didn't build one world killer, Commander. We built a fleet. And now the Valorian hegemony is going to learn that humanity is very good at holding grudges. The 5 ships took up positions around the adamantine fury. 6 human dreadnoughts, each one carrying enough firepower to sterilize a planet. 6 ships that represented humanity's answer to a galaxy that valued law over justice, procedure over compassion, and profit over life. The Galactic Council would call them war criminals. The Valorian hegemony would call them monsters. History would debate whether they were heroes or villains. But the humans they saved would call them family. And the worlds they destroyed would serve as eternal monuments to a simple truth. Never enslave humanity's children. Because humanity will burn entire star systems to ash before they let their people die in chains. Terra 9 was just the beginning. 15 years earlier, Earth was celebrating. The starship Pathfinder had just sent back confirmation that New Providence was perfect. Blue oceans, green continents, breathable atmosphere, no hostile life forms. 20 light years from Earth, humanity had found its first new home among the stars. Director Sarah Volkov stood in the United Nations Assembly Hall, watching the celebrations on the screens. People danced in the streets of New York, London, Mumbai, Sao Paulo. The news played on repeat. Humanity was no longer confined to one world. The future was bright. The future was hopeful. Sarah did not smile. She was 40 years old, a career diplomat who had spent her life studying history, and history taught a very clear lesson. When the weak meet the strong, the weak suffer. Earth had just announced to the galaxy that humans were weak, scattered, and eager to expand. Every predator within 100 light years would have heard that announcement. Director Volkov, her assistant, a young man named David Park, approached with a data pad. The first colony ship is ready to launch. 5,000 colonists, all volunteers. They'll arrive at New Providence in 3 years. Have we heard from any other species? Sarah asked. Any official contact? Not yet, ma'am. But our radio telescopes have detected increased traffic in nearby systems. Someone is definitely paying attention to us. Sarah nodded. Double the defense budget. I want weapons platforms around Earth, the Moon, and Mars. I want every colony ship equipped with enough firepower to defend itself. David frowned. Ma'am, that seems aggressive. We're trying to join the galactic community as peaceful explorers. David, do you know what happens to peaceful explorers when they meet armed conquerors? No, ma'am. They get conquered. Trust me on this. But the UN Security Council overruled her. The colony ships launched with minimal weapons. The defense platforms were scaled back to save money. Humanity was eager to prove it was peaceful, civilized, and ready to be part of something bigger than itself. 3 years later, the first colony ship arrived at New Providence. 5,000 humans stepped onto alien soil and began building their new home. They planted crops. They constructed cities. They had children. New Providence thrived. Then the Valorians arrived. The ships came without warning, dropping out of FTL space in a flash of purple light. 12 vessels, each one 3 times larger than anything humans had built. They were beautiful ships, all smooth curves and glowing panels. They looked like art, not weapons. The Valorians themselves were equally impressive. Tall, elegant beings with blue skin and 4 golden eyes. They wore clothes that seemed to shift colors in the light. They spoke through translator devices that made their voices sound musical, pleasant. Greetings, humans of New Providence, the lead Valorian said. His name was Merchant Prince Kavalith, and his smile showed teeth that were just a bit too sharp. "We are the Valorian hegemony, and we come in peace and friendship. We wish to establish trade relations with your colony." Governor James Chen, the elected leader of New Providence, was thrilled. Finally contact with an advanced alien species. Finally a chance to learn, to trade, to grow. He welcomed the Valorians with open arms. The Valorians offered technology. Better farming equipment that could triple crop yields. Medical devices that could cure diseases humans had struggled with for centuries. Construction machinery that could build in days what took humans months. All they asked in return was simple: sign the trade agreements. Accept some loans to get started. Everything was very reasonable, very legal, very friendly. Governor Chen signed the papers. He didn't have a lawyer who understood galactic trade law. He didn't have economists who could analyze the interest rates. He just had 5,000 colonists who wanted better lives and aliens who were offering help. The trap closed slowly. The first year was wonderful. The new technology worked perfectly. Crops grew. Diseases were cured. Buildings rose from the ground. New Providence seemed to be entering a golden age. The second year, the bills came due. The interest rates, buried in pages of legal text, were astronomical. The loans that seemed small suddenly became massive. Governor Chen tried to negotiate, but the Valorian merchant prince simply smiled and pointed to the contracts. Everything was legal. Everything was signed. Everything was binding. The third year, when New Providence couldn't pay, the Valorians offered a solution. The colonists could work off their debt. Simple labor, nothing too demanding. They would work in Valorian facilities, mining rare minerals, processing exotic materials, building components for Valorian ships. The hours were long, but the pay would go toward the debt. It seemed reasonable. It seemed fair. It was slavery with a corporate logo. By the fourth year, children born on New Providence were automatically added to the debt ledger. The Valorian contracts included clauses about generational responsibility and family obligations. A child born to parents in debt was born into debt themselves. The Valorians called it maintaining family accountability. Humans called it inherited slavery. Governor Chen sent desperate messages to Earth. He sent detailed reports about the contracts, the debt, the conditions. He begged for help, for lawyers, for diplomats, for anyone who could break them free from the Valorian trap. Earth sent protests to the Galactic Council. Sarah Volkov, now director of the UN's Interstellar Affairs Department, stood before representatives of 200 species and demanded justice. She presented evidence of predatory lending, contract fraud, and de facto slavery. The Galactic Council listened politely. They reviewed the contracts. They consulted their legal databases. And then they ruled that everything the Valorians had done was completely legal under galactic trade law. The contracts were valid. The debt was real. New Providence belonged to the Valorian hegemony. But it's slavery, Sarah shouted. They've enslaved 5,000 human beings. It is debt servitude, the council arbiter replied calmly. The arbiter was a floating jellyfish-like creature who spoke through bioluminescent flashes translated into speech. There is a significant legal distinction. The humans entered the contracts voluntarily. They may leave at any time by paying their debts. They can never pay their debts. The interest rates make it impossible. That is an economic matter, not a legal one. The Valorian hegemony has broken no laws. This matter is closed. Sarah returned to Earth in fury. She reported to the UN Security Council, expecting them to prepare for war, to send ships, to do something. Instead, they debated. They formed committees. They discussed diplomatic approaches. They were afraid of starting a war with a species that had 47 star systems. While Earth debated, New Providence suffered. The working conditions grew worse. Valorian overseers became more demanding. Quotas increased. Punishments for failure became severe. And when some colonists tried to escape, tried to steal ships and flee the planet, Valorian enforcers hunted them down. The massacre happened in year 5. 300 colonists, led by Governor Chen's own son Marcus, attempted to seize a Valorian transport ship. They were armed with mining equipment and desperation. They almost succeeded. The Valorian response was swift and brutal. Enforcer ships surrounded the transport. When the humans refused to surrender, the Valorians opened fire. Not on the ship, that was valuable property. They fired on the colony itself. 50,000 colonists died in 3 hours. Orbital bombardment turned entire city blocks into craters. Hospitals, schools, residential areas, the Valorians made no distinction. The message was clear. Resistance would be punished with extermination. The Galactic Council convened another emergency session. Sarah stood before them again, this time with video footage of the massacre. She showed them dead children. She showed them hospitals burning. She showed them the true face of Valorian legal practices. This is an internal security matter, the Council Arbiter ruled. The Valorian hegemony was protecting its assets from theft and violence. While the loss of life is regrettable, the Valorians acted within their rights under galactic law. This matter is closed. Sarah Volkov walked out of the council chamber that day and never returned. She went back to Earth with a new understanding of how the galaxy really worked. Laws didn't matter. Justice didn't matter. All that mattered was power and fear. She requested a meeting with the UN Security Council in a secure location. When they gathered, she brought with her a team of Earth's best military engineers, physicists, and strategists. "Gentlemen and ladies," Sarah began, "I have spent 5 years trying to save New Providence through diplomacy. I have failed. The Galactic Council will not help us. They believe in laws, not justice. They believe in procedure, not compassion. They believe in maintaining order, not protecting the weak. So what do you propose?" the Secretary General asked. Sarah activated a holographic display. It showed a ship design unlike anything Earth had built before. "This is the Adamantine Fury, a dreadnought-class warship. It will carry no soldiers. It will have no troop transports. It will have exactly one purpose: to destroy planets." The room exploded in argument. "You want us to build a weapon of planetary destruction?" "Yes," Sarah said calmly. "Because that's the only language the galaxy understands. Not laws, not pleas, not diplomatic protests, fear. The Valorians don't fear our lawyers. They don't fear our politicians. They need to fear our weapons. But we're talking about destroying inhabited worlds." "Yes," Sarah agreed. "And I will carry that weight for the rest of my life. But I ask you this, would you rather we sit here safe on Earth while our people die in slavery? Would you rather we keep filing legal complaints while the Valorians laugh at us? Or would you rather we become strong enough that no one dares to touch us again?" The debate lasted for 3 weeks. Some council members called Sarah a monster. Others called her a realist. In the end, they voted. The measure passed by a single vote. Earth began construction on 6 dreadnought-class warships. Each one was equipped with weapons designed by the best minds humanity could produce. Weapons that could trigger tectonic collapse. Weapons that could strip away atmospheres. Weapons that could turn garden worlds into radioactive wastelands. The ships were built in secret, in hidden shipyards on the dark side of the moon and in the asteroid belt. The Galactic Council didn't notice. They thought humans were still trying to play by the rules. The construction took 10 years. 10 long years while New Providence suffered. The colonists who survived the massacre were worked harder, punished more severely. Many of them lost hope that Earth would ever come for them. But Earth hadn't forgotten. Sarah Volkov hadn't forgotten. And when the last of the 6 dreadnoughts was completed, Sarah personally selected the crews. She looked for officers who had lost family members on New Providence. She looked for soldiers who understood that sometimes justice requires terrible prices. She found Admiral Keiko Chen, whose daughter had died in the massacre. She found Commander Sarah Okonkwo, whose brother was still enslaved on New Providence. She found Lieutenant Marcus Webb, whose entire family had volunteered for the original colony mission. "I'm offering you a choice," Sarah told each of them. "You can serve on a normal Earth vessel, defending our home system, following all the rules and laws that the galaxy pretends matter. Or you can serve on the Adamantine Fury and help me teach the galaxy what happens when you hurt humans." Every single one of them chose the Fury. On the day the 6 dreadnoughts launched from Earth, Sarah stood in her office and watched them disappear into the stars. She was now 55 years old. Her hair had gone gray, and she had spent 15 years planning this moment. "God forgive me," she whispered to the empty room, "because I will never forgive myself." But forgiveness didn't matter. Justice didn't matter. The law didn't matter. All that mattered was making certain that humanity's children would never die in chains again. And if that required burning worlds to ash, then humanity would become very good at starting fires. The Adamantine Fury and her sister ships jumped to FTL speed, heading toward Terra 9, heading toward the first demonstration of humanity's new doctrine, the doctrine that said, We will not plead, we will not beg, we will not hope for mercy from others. We will be strong. We will be feared. We will be the monsters that protect our own. History would call it the doctrine of ashes, and it would change the galaxy forever. Terra 9 died slowly, and the galaxy watched every moment. The Valorian fleet had retreated to the edge of the system, their ships damaged and their pride shattered. They broadcast continuous messages to the Galactic Council, to their homeworld, to any species that would listen. The humans were monsters. The humans were insane. The humans had just destroyed an entire habitable world. What the Valorians didn't mention in their broadcasts was the truth. They didn't mention the 6 hours they had been given. They didn't mention the 300,000 human slaves they had refused to release. They didn't mention that they had laughed at the warning and called humans primitive monkeys. Admiral Keiko Chen sat in her command chair aboard the Adamantine Fury and watched Terra 9's final hours. The planet's surface was hidden under thick black clouds of volcanic ash. Lightning storms raged across both hemispheres. The oceans were beginning to boil in some places as superheated rock touched water. In 48 hours, nothing would survive on the surface. Admiral, Lieutenant Webb said quietly, I'm receiving a priority message from Earth Command. Director Volkov wants to speak with you. Chen nodded. Put her through. Private channel. The screen in front of Chen flickered and Sarah Volkov's face appeared. She looked older than Chen remembered. More tired, but her eyes were still sharp, still determined. Keiko, Sarah said, I've been watching the reports. You actually did it. You built the ship, Director. I just pulled the trigger. How do you feel? Chen was quiet for a moment. I feel like a mass murderer. I feel like a monster. I feel like the worst human being who ever lived. She paused. But I'd do it again. Those colonists were our people. They died as free humans, not as Valorian property. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session, Sarah said. They're going to demand we answer for what they're calling crimes against existence itself. They want you arrested and tried for genocide. And what does Earth Command say? Sarah smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. Earth Command says that the Galactic Council can go to hell. We're done playing by their rules. We tried their laws, their procedures, their justice system. It protected our enemies and abandoned our people. If they want to arrest you, they can try. But they'll have to come through 5 more dreadnoughts to do it. Chen felt a weight lift from her chest. Thank you, Director. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning. The Valorian hegemony has declared total war on humanity. They're mobilizing fleets from every system they control, and the Galactic Council is talking about sanctions, embargoes, maybe even military intervention. Let them come, Chen said. The Fury has 5 sisters waiting at the edge of Valorian space. Each one carries the same weapons. Each one has a crew ready to do what needs to be done. I know. That's what worries the galaxy. Sarah leaned forward. Keiko, I need you to understand something. What you did at Terra 9 isn't just a military action. It's a statement. It's a line drawn in the stars. Every species in the galaxy is talking about it right now. Some are horrified. Some are terrified. And some are very, very interested. Interested in what? In hiring humans to do the same thing to their enemies. Chen felt sick. We're not mercenaries, Director. We didn't do this for money. I know that. But the galaxy doesn't. All they see is a species willing to do what everyone else is afraid to do. Willing to cross lines that others won't cross. Willing to destroy worlds to prove a point. Sarah sighed. We've become the galaxy's nightmare, Keiko. And nightmares have power. The conversation ended and Chen sat alone with her thoughts. Outside, Terra 9 continued its death spiral. Inside, Chen wondered if they had done the right thing. 300,000 people dead. An entire world rendered uninhabitable. And for what? To send a message? To prove that humans couldn't be pushed around? Admiral? Commander Okonkwo interrupted her thoughts. We're receiving incoming transmissions. Multiple sources. You need to see this. Chen straightened in her chair. Put them through. The first message was from the Galactic Council. The Arbiter's bioluminescent flashes translated into stern words. The United Nations of Earth is hereby summoned to answer for the unprovoked destruction of Terra 9, a Class M habitable world under the protection of galactic law. Admiral Keiko Chen is to surrender herself for trial on charges of genocide, planetary destruction, and crimes against sentient life. Failure to comply will result in immediate sanctions and possible military action against Earth. Chen deleted the message without responding. The second message was from the Valorian High Council. It was not a trial summons. It was a declaration of war. The Valorian hegemony will not tolerate attacks on our territory or our property. We are mobilizing our full military might to destroy the human threat. Every human world will be reduced to ash. Every human ship will be destroyed. We will teach these primitive apes what it means to challenge a true galactic power. Chen smiled coldly. Commander Okonkwo, please send that message to the other 5 dreadnoughts. I want them to know what we're up against. Yes, Admiral. The third message was unexpected. It came from a species Chen had never heard of, the Kelith. They were a small species, only 3 colony worlds, located on the edge of Valorian space. The message was simple and desperate. To the humans who destroyed Terra 9, we watched what you did. We watched you keep your word. You gave them 6 hours. They didn't listen. You destroyed the world, but not your people. We understand. We are also enslaved by the Valorians. They came to our worlds with contracts and smiles. Now we work until we die. Our children are born in debt, please. If you are truly fighting against the Valorians, we can help. We know their ship movements, their defense networks, their secret facilities. We will help you if you promise to free us. Chen read the message 3 times. Then she forwarded it to Sarah Volkov on Earth. Within an hour, 2 more messages arrived. One from the Plenari, another minor species under Valorian control. One from the Zexith, who had lost 3 colony worlds to Valorian legal acquisition. Both messages said the same thing. Help us, and we will help you. It's starting, Chen said to herself. The galaxy is taking sides. Not everyone was on humanity's side. Over the next few days, dozens of species issued statements condemning the destruction of Terra 9. They called it barbaric, unnecessary, excessive. They called humans monsters who couldn't be trusted with advanced weapons. They called for Earth to be isolated, quarantined, perhaps even destroyed before humans could spread their violence to other systems. But just as many species stayed silent. And in that silence was fear. Fear that they might be next. Fear that if they spoke too loudly against humanity, they might wake up one morning to find a human dreadnought in orbit, counting down 6 hours. The Valorian hegemony moved quickly. Within a week, they had assembled a fleet of over 200 ships. Warships, carriers, destroyers. Every vessel they could spare from garrison duty. They announced their target, Earth itself. If humans wanted to play with planetary destruction, the Valorians would show them what real power looked like. But the Valorians made a critical mistake. They assumed that humans, being primitive and emotional, had sent their only weapons to Terra 9. They assumed Earth was defenseless. They assumed wrong. When the Valorian fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system, they found it bristling with defenses. Weapons platforms surrounded Earth, Mars, and the Moon. Automated gun stations guarded every major asteroid. And waiting in formation between the Valorian fleet and Earth were not 1 but 20 human warships. Not dreadnoughts. These were smaller vessels, frigates and destroyers built during the 10 years that the dreadnoughts were under construction. Earth had not put all its hope in 6 planet killers. Earth had built a fleet. The Valorian commander sent a message to Earth. Surrender now and we will only enslave your people. Resist and we will kill every human in this system. The response came from Earth Defense Command, from Director Sarah Volkov herself. You've made 2 mistakes today. First, you assumed we only built 6 dreadnoughts. Second, you assumed we would meet you in battle. We won't. Before the Valorians could respond, 6 purple flashes appeared across the galaxy. 6 FTL signatures appearing simultaneously at 6 different Valorian worlds. The UNS Relentless Sorrow appeared at Valoria Secundus. The UNS Vindication appeared at Keshar. 3. The UNS Last Resort appeared at Thelmar Prime. The UNS Orphan's Fury appeared at Xanthar IV. The Yang Chunus Cold Equations appeared at Valorian Prime 7. And the UNS Adamantine Fury jumped away from Terra 9 and appeared at Hestrix Major. 6 worlds. 6 dreadnoughts. 6 identical messages. This is ship name to all Valorian forces. You have 6 hours to evacuate every human, Kelith, Plenari, and Zexith slave from this planet. Every person not of Valorian species must be released and transported to neutral space. You have 6 hours. After that, the planet dies. The Valorian commander at Earth realized his mistake too late. His fleet was here at Earth facing down human frigates. But the real threat, The real weapons were spread across Valorian space, holding their most important worlds hostage. "This is a bluff," he broadcast. "You wouldn't dare destroy 6 worlds simultaneously." Sarah Volkov's response was chilling. "We destroyed Terra 9 with all 300,000 of our own people still on it. What makes you think we won't destroy your worlds when we've already evacuated everyone we care about? You have 6 hours. Choose wisely." 3 Valorian worlds chose to comply immediately. Valoria Secundus, Thelmar Prime, and Hestrix Major began emergency evacuations. Thousands of slaves were loaded onto transports and released. The Valorians were angry, humiliated, but they valued their worlds more than their pride. 3 Valorian worlds chose to resist. Keshar III, Xanthar 4, and Valorian Prime 7 trusted their planetary defenses. They believed their shields could withstand the human weapons. They believed humans were bluffing. They were wrong. 6 hours later, 3 more worlds began to die. The process was the same as Terra 9. Mantle penetrators triggered tectonic collapse. Atmospheric ionizers stripped away protective layers. Within 48 hours, 3 more garden worlds became dead zones. The galaxy watched in horror. Humanity had just destroyed 4 habitable worlds in a single week. 4 worlds that had taken millions of years to develop life, ecosystems, atmospheres. Gone. Reduced to radioactive rocks floating in space. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. They passed resolution after resolution condemning humanity. They issued warrants for the arrest of every human military officer. They threatened embargoes, sanctions, military intervention, and humanity ignored every single one. "We tried your justice," Sarah Volkov said in a public broadcast to the entire galaxy. "We came to you with evidence of slavery. We showed you proof of massacre. We begged for help, and you told us everything was legal. You told us to accept it. You told us the law was more important than our people's lives. So we learned. We learned that your laws protect the strong and abandon the weak. We learned that justice in this galaxy belongs only to those powerful enough to take it. Fine. We accept your lesson. We are now powerful enough, and we will never again ask for permission to protect our own." The broadcast ended with a simple image, a map of Valorian space with 4 worlds marked in red. The dead zones, monuments to humanity's wrath, and below the map a simple message in 100 languages: never again. The war spread across Valorian space like wildfire. 6 human dreadnoughts moved from world to world, each one delivering the same ultimatum: 6 hours to release the slaves, 6 hours to choose between pride and survival, 6 hours that determined whether a world lived or died. Sub-Commander Thel stood on the bridge of a Valorian cruiser, watching his homeworld of Keshar III die on the main screen. He was young for his rank, only 30 cycles old, with bright blue skin and the 4 golden eyes that marked him as pure Valorian bloodline. He had been raised to believe the hegemony was righteous, powerful, eternal. He had been taught that other species existed to serve Valorian greatness. Now he watched his homeworld burn, and all he could think was, "We deserved this." "Sub-Commander," his captain said, "we've received orders to regroup at Valoria Prime. The High Council is assembling the full fleet for a final assault on the human dreadnoughts." "How many ships?" Thel asked. 300, maybe more. Every vessel in the hegemony." Thel looked at the captain. "Sir, the humans have destroyed 4 worlds in 2 weeks. 4 worlds. Our planetary defenses did nothing. Our shields were meaningless. Our weapons couldn't even scratch their armor. What makes the High Council think 300 ships will make a difference?" The captain's face hardened. "Are you questioning orders, Sub-Commander?" "I'm questioning the sanity of fighting an enemy we don't understand." Thel gestured at the dying world on screen. "We laughed at them. We called them primitives. We enslaved their people and thought they would do nothing. We were wrong. What if we're wrong about everything else?" "You're dismissed, Sub-Commander. Report to your quarters." Thel left the bridge, but he didn't go to his quarters. Instead, he went to the data archives. He accessed every report about human capabilities, every engagement between Valorian and human forces, every analysis of the dreadnoughts. What he found terrified him. The humans hadn't lost a single ship, not one. The Valorian fleet had thrown everything at them: missiles, energy weapons, kinetic strikes, even suicide runs. Nothing worked. The human shields were impenetrable. Their armor was impossibly strong, and their weapons were designed for one purpose only: killing planets. But what terrified Thel more than the weapons was the pattern. Humans didn't destroy worlds randomly. They gave warnings. They gave time to evacuate. They kept their word exactly. 6 hours. Always 6 hours. If the Valorians complied, the humans left peacefully. If the Valorians resisted, the planet died. It was methodical, clinical, terrifying in its consistency. Thel accessed another file, this one marked classified. It detailed the original enslavement of New Providence. He read about the predatory contracts, the impossible interest rates, the massacre when colonists tried to escape. He read about human pleas to the Galactic Council, and the Council's dismissal of those pleas. For the first time in his life, Thel felt ashamed to be Valorian. He made a decision that would be called treason by his people and salvation by others. He copied every file he could access about Valorian military movements, defense networks, secret slave camps, and fleet positions. Then he stole a small shuttle and disappeared into the dark between stars. 3 days later, the UNS Vindication received an unexpected transmission. "This is Sub-Commander Thel of the Valorian Navy. I am defecting. I have information about secret facilities where humans and other species are held. I know where the hegemony is hiding prisoners they don't want you to find. I want to help. Please let me help." Admiral Chen, now coordinating all 6 dreadnoughts from the Adamantine Fury, took the call personally. She looked at the young Valorian on the screen, saw the fear and determination in his 4 eyes, and made a judgment call. "Why should we trust you?" "Because my homeworld is one of the dead zones now," Thel replied. "Because I watched it die and realized we deserved it. Because I've read the reports about what we did to New Providence, and I'm ashamed. Because this war needs to end before more worlds die. And the only way that happens is if you find every human prisoner and my people surrender." Chen studied him for a long moment. "If you're lying, if this is a trap, I will personally ensure your species learns what happens to traitors." "I understand, Admiral. But I'm not lying. I have the data here. 8 secret facilities, thousands of humans you don't know about, children, mostly, taken from colonies and hidden so Earth wouldn't know they existed." Chen felt cold rage flood through her. "Children?" "Yes. The hegemony believes that if Earth thinks all humans are accounted for, you'll stop the war. They're wrong, aren't they?" "Show me the locations." Thel transmitted the data. Chen verified it with her intelligence officers, cross-referenced it with reports from the Kelith and other freed species, and confirmed it was genuine. 8 facilities, 12,000 human children and young adults, stolen from various colonies over the past decade. "Director Volkov needs to see this," Chen said. She forwarded the data to Earth along with a simple message. "We're not even close to done." The revelation hit Earth like a nuclear bomb. 12,000 children that no one knew were missing. 12,000 kids who had been told their parents abandoned them, who had been raised as Valorian property, who didn't even know Earth was looking for them. The UN General Assembly met in emergency session. The debate was short and brutal. "How do we respond to this?" someone asked. Sarah Volkov stood at the podium, her face carved from stone. "We continue. We find every human child. We burn every facility that held them, and we make certain the Valorians understand that taking our children was the worst mistake they ever made. But we've already destroyed 4 worlds. The galaxy thinks we're monsters." "Then let them think that," Sarah said coldly. "I'd rather be a living monster than a civilized corpse." The vote is simple. Do we continue the war until every human is free, or do we stop now and let those 12,000 children rot in slavery? The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would continue. The 6 dreadnoughts changed tactics. Instead of targeting major Valorian worlds, they began hunting the secret facilities. The first facility was on a moon orbiting an uninhabited gas giant. It held 2,000 human children ages 5 to 17. They had been trained as servants, technicians, and worse. The UNS Last Resort arrived without warning. The facility's defenders tried to use the children as hostages, threatening to kill them if the humans attacked. Commander Lisa Park, captain of the Last Resort, responded by destroying the facility's power generators, life support systems, and communication arrays. Then she landed ground troops. The Valorian Guard surrendered when they realized the humans weren't asking for negotiations. They were there to take their children back, and they would kill anyone who stood in the way. The children didn't understand at first. Many of them had never seen another human. They spoke Valorian better than English. They had been taught that Earth had abandoned them, that humans were weak and worthless. Commander Park knelt in front of a small girl, maybe 7 years old, with dark skin and frightened eyes. What's your name, sweetheart? Designation 4721, the girl replied in perfect Valorian. Park felt tears on her face. No, baby, your name. Your real name. Do you remember? The girl shook her head. That's okay. We'll help you remember, but I need you to understand something. You're not property. You're not a number. You're human, and humans don't leave their children behind. We're taking you home. Home, Earth. The world where your parents came from. The world that's been looking for you since the day you disappeared. The girl looked confused, then started crying. Park held her and promised her that everything would be okay. It was a lie. Everything would not be okay. These children were traumatized, broken, lost. It would take years to heal them if they could be healed at all. But they would be free. One by one, the 6 dreadnoughts raided the secret facilities. They recovered 12,000 children and young adults. They destroyed each facility completely, leaving nothing but debris and radiation. And at each location, they left a message in Valorian. We found them. What else are you hiding? The Valorian High Council realized they were losing. Not just battles, but the war itself. Public opinion across the galaxy was shifting. At first, species had condemned humanity's brutality. But as news spread about the hidden children, about the secret slave camps, about the true extent of Valorian cruelty, opinions changed. Maybe the humans were monsters. But maybe monsters were necessary when fighting devils. 3 minor species, the Kelith, the Plenari, and the Zexith, formally allied with Earth. They provided intelligence, supply bases, and most importantly, legitimacy. Humanity wasn't fighting a war of conquest. They were fighting a war of liberation. Other species were joining them. The Galactic Council tried to broker peace. They sent envoys to Earth offering to mediate. Sarah Volkov met with them in person. The Valorian hegemony is willing to negotiate, the chief envoy said. They will release all remaining human prisoners. They will pay reparations. They will acknowledge wrongdoing. In exchange, humanity must cease all hostile actions and accept adjudication of war crimes by this council. War crimes, Sarah repeated. You want to try us for war crimes? You have destroyed 4 inhabited worlds, Director Volkov. Billions of beings have lost their homeworlds. This cannot be ignored. Sarah leaned forward. Let me tell you about war crimes. War crimes are enslaving children. War crimes are massacring civilians who ask for freedom. War crimes are hiding thousands of kidnapped kids in secret facilities. War crimes are using legal systems to protect monsters. We didn't start this war. We ended a crime that your council allowed to continue for decades. If you want to try someone for war crimes, start with the Valorians. Start with yourselves for enabling them. We cannot condone the destruction of habitable worlds. And we cannot condone the enslavement of our species. So here's our counteroffer. The Valorian hegemony surrenders unconditionally. They release every slave of every species. Their government submits to war crimes tribunals. Real ones, not your rubber-stamp council sessions. Their military is disbanded, and they pay reparations to every species they've harmed. Accept those terms or we continue until there are no Valorian worlds left. You're demanding the complete destruction of a galactic power. No, Sarah said. We're demanding justice. Something your council has proven incapable of providing. The Valorians can survive this war. They'll lose their empire, their military, their pride. But they'll survive. That's more mercy than they showed New Providence. The envoys left without an agreement. The war continued. The Valorian High Council, desperate and furious, made their final gamble. They would build a superweapon. A weapon powerful enough to destroy Earth itself. If they couldn't win the war, they would at least take humanity down with them. Sub-Commander Thel, now working with human intelligence, intercepted the plans. He brought them to Admiral Chen with trembling hands. They're building it at Valoria Prime, he said. The homeworld. It's nearly complete. Maybe another month before it's operational. Chen looked at the plans. The weapon was massive, powered by exotic matter and quantum manipulation. It could create a cascade reaction that would tear Earth apart from the inside, turning it into an asteroid field. Billions dead in seconds. Can we stop it? Only one way, Thel said. You have to take the fleet to Valoria Prime, all 6 dreadnoughts, and you have to be willing to destroy the Valorian homeworld. Chen sat back in her chair. Valoria Prime. 12 billion Valorians. The cultural heart of the hegemony. Destroying it would be the ultimate act of war. It would cement humanity's reputation as genocidal monsters. but letting the weapon complete would mean Earth's death. Send a message to the other dreadnoughts, Chen ordered. All ships converge on Valoria Prime. We end this war one way or another. The 6 human dreadnoughts jumped to FTL, heading toward their final target. Behind them, they left 17 dead worlds. Ahead of them lay a choice that would define humanity forever. Save Earth by destroying another species' homeworld, or risk everything on the hope that mercy would matter. Valoria Prime hung in space like a jewel. It was beautiful, even more stunning than Terra 9 had been. Crystal towers reached into the sky in cities that sprawled across 6 continents. Orbital rings circled the planet, carrying millions of Valorians between surface and space. The homeworld of the hegemony was not just a planet. It was a work of art. Built over thousands of years, Admiral Keiko Chen watched it on her screen and felt sick. 6 human dreadnoughts sat in formation at the edge of the system. Behind them were the remnants of the Valorian defense fleet, over 300 ships damaged and desperate. The battle to reach Valoria Prime had been brutal. 2 human dreadnoughts were gone. The UNS Cold Equations had been destroyed by a suicide run from a Valorian carrier, her crew of 800 dying to open a path for the others. The UNS Orphan's Fury had been disabled by focused fire from 50 Valorian destroyers, her engines crippled, her weapon systems offline. She floated dead in space, her crew evacuated to the other dreadnoughts. That left 4 human ships against 300 Valorian vessels and the most heavily defended planet in the hegemony. The mathematics seemed impossible. But Chen had learned that mathematics didn't matter when you were willing to pay any price. "Admiral," Commander Okonkwo said, "I'm detecting massive energy readings from the planet's surface. Multiple locations. I think it's the superweapon. How long until it's ready to fire?" "Unknown. Could be hours. Could be days." Chen nodded slowly. The Valorians were gambling everything on completing their weapon before the humans destroyed the planet. It was a race now. A race that would end with billions dead no matter who won. "Open a channel," Chen ordered. "All frequencies. I want every Valorian to hear this." The transmission went out across every communication device on Valoria Prime. 12 billion Valorians stopped what they were doing and listened. "This is Admiral Keiko, Chen of the United Nations Starship Adamantine. Fury. For those who don't know, we are the humans you've been fighting. The primitives. The monkeys. The species you thought you could enslave without consequence." She paused. "You were wrong." On Valoria Prime, in homes and offices and public squares, Valorians listened with a mixture of fear and hatred. "We know about the superweapon you're building. We know it's designed to destroy Earth. We know you plan to kill billions of humans because you refuse to admit you were wrong to enslave us. So I'm here to make you an offer. One final offer." Chen took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would define everything. The Valorian hegemony will surrender unconditionally. You will release every slave of every species in your territory. Your High Council will submit to war crimes tribunals. Your military will be disbanded. You will pay reparations to every species you have harmed. You will do this within the next 6 hours. The Valorian listeners expected the usual threat: surrender or the planet dies. But Chen surprised them. "If you refuse, we will destroy Valoria Prime. 12 billion Valorians will die. Your homeworld will become the 18th dead zone. And humanity will carry that weight forever. We will be the species that committed genocide. We will be remembered as monsters. We know this. We accept this. Because Earth has 20 billion humans, and they are more important to us than our reputation." Chen leaned closer to the camera. "But I want you to understand something. We don't want to do this. We have destroyed 17 worlds, and every single one haunts us. We know the names of the planets. We've seen the images of what we've done. We carry the weight of billions of deaths. We are not proud of this. We are not celebrating. We are doing what we must to protect our own, and we hate ourselves for it." On Valoria Prime, some Valorians were surprised. The monsters were admitting they felt guilt. The butchers were claiming they didn't want to kill. "So here's my offer," Chen continued. "Surrender now and no one else dies. Your species survives. Your culture survives. Your people get to see their children grow up. You lose your empire, but you keep your lives. Or refuse and we both lose. You lose your homeworld. We lose our humanity. And the galaxy learns that sometimes there are no good choices, only terrible ones." She ended the transmission. On the bridge of the Adamantine Fury, silence filled the space. The crew knew what was coming. If the Valorians refuse, they would have to follow through. They would have to kill 12 billion beings. 12 billion people who had families, dreams, hopes. 12 billion lives snuffed out because their government was too proud to surrender. How long do you think they'll take? Lieutenant Webb asked quietly. Not the full 6 hours, Chen replied. Either they'll refuse immediately or they'll surrender immediately. Pride or survival. There's no middle ground anymore. She was right. 20 minutes later, a transmission came from Valoria Prime. But it wasn't from the High Council. It was from a Valorian general named Kethix, commander of the Planetary Defense Forces. Admiral Chen, this is General Kethix. I am contacting you against the orders of the High Council. They have refused to surrender. They believe the planetary shields will hold long enough for the superweapon to complete. They are willing to let Valoria Prime die if it means Earth dies too. Chen felt her heart sink. Then you've sealed your fate, General. Wait, Kethix said urgently. I said the High Council refuses. I didn't say the military agrees. I didn't say the people agree. Admiral, most Valorians don't even know about the enslaved children. They don't know about the massacres. They've been told that humans are the aggressors, that you attacked us without cause. But your speech just now, it's spreading through every network. People are asking questions. They're demanding answers. What are you saying, General? I'm saying that maybe, for the first time in hegemony history, the people are ready to stand against the High Council. But we need time, and we need you to not fire. Please give us more than 6 hours. Give us a day. Let us try to stop this from the inside. Chen looked at her crew. They all knew the risk. Every hour they waited was an hour closer to the superweapon completing. If it finished, Earth died. But if they fired now, 12 billion Valorians died. 12 hours, Chen said finally. You have 12 hours to resolve this internally. After that, if we don't see surrender, we fire. No more extensions. No more chances. 12 hours. Thank you, Admiral. We won't waste them. The transmission ended. The crew of the Adamantine Fury settled in to wait. On Valoria Prime, something unprecedented began to happen. General Kethix broadcast Chen's speech on every public channel. Then he released classified documents about New Providence, about the massacre, about the hidden children, about the secret slave camps, about everything the High Council had done and hidden. The Valorian population erupted in fury. Not at the humans. At their own government. Riots broke out in the capital city. Millions of Valorians marched on the High Council chambers demanding surrender. The Council's security forces tried to stop them, but General Kethix ordered the military to stand down. Some units even joined the protesters. We didn't know, became the cry echoing through Valoria Prime streets. We didn't know what they did to the children. The High Council, seeing the rebellion spreading, tried to activate the superweapon early. They didn't care if it wasn't ready. They didn't care if it might fail. They just wanted to hurt humanity before they died. But General Kethix had anticipated this. His troops stormed the superweapon facilities, fighting their own people to stop the activation. The battle was brutal. Thousands of Valorians died fighting other Valorians, all while a human fleet waited overhead to destroy them all. 8 hours into the 12-hour deadline, General Kethix's forces seized control of the superweapon. They shut down the power systems, dismantled the control mechanisms, and made it permanently inoperable. Earth was safe. 9 hours into the deadline, the military arrested the High Council. Every member was taken into custody, charged with crimes against the Valorian people and crimes against other species. 10 hours into the deadline, General Kethix contacted Admiral Chen again. Admiral, the High Council is in custody. The superweapon is destroyed. I am taking temporary command of the Valorian government, with the support of the military and the civilian population. I am authorized to offer unconditional surrender on behalf of the Valorian people. Chen felt tears on her face. She hadn't realized how much she dreaded giving the order to fire. I accept your surrender, General. Transmit the terms of your capitulation. All slaves of all species will be immediately released. All Valorian military forces will stand down. The former High Council members will be turned over to a neutral tribunal for trial. We will pay reparations to all species we have harmed, and we will accept temporary oversight from a coalition of Earth, the Kelith, the Plenari, and the Zexith to ensure compliance. And the people of Valoria Prime, how do they feel about this? General Kethix laughed bitterly. Right now, Admiral, they are celebrating in the streets. Celebrating that they get to live. Celebrating that the war is over. Some are celebrating that the High Council is in chains. We were told you were monsters, but you gave us a choice. You gave us time. You could have fired immediately, but you waited. That's more mercy than we showed New Providence. The people understand that now. The war ended not with the push of a button, but with a choice. The Valorian people chose life over pride. They chose surrender over mutual destruction, and in doing so, they forced humanity to confront its own reflection. Admiral Keiko Chen sat in her command chair as the Valorian fleet powered down their weapons, as the planetary shields dropped, as surrender became reality. She had come here prepared to kill 12 billion beings. She had been willing to cross that final line, to become the monster that history would despise, but she didn't have to. And the relief was overwhelming. "Stand down from combat alert," she ordered. "All ships cease targeting procedures. The war is over." The bridge crew erupted in cheers and tears and exhausted relief. They had survived. Earth had survived, and somehow impossibly, they had won without destroying another world. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy struggled to process what had happened. The Valorian hegemony dissolved. 47 star systems gained independence. Thousands of slaves from dozens of species were freed. The former High Council members stood trial in the first truly fair galactic court in history, and were found guilty of crimes against sentience itself. The Galactic Council, humiliated by its failure to prevent the war and its inability to stop humanity's rampage, reformed itself. New laws were written. New protections were enshrined. The most important was called the Dead Zone Accord. The Dead Zone Accord stated that slavery, in any form under any legal justification, was an act of war. Economic exploitation that created permanent debt servitude was an act of war. Any species that engaged in such practices would face immediate military intervention. And the enforcement mechanism was simple: humanity's fleet. The 4 remaining human dreadnoughts became the galaxy's enforcers. They patrolled the borders of civilized space, and their very presence kept the peace. Because every species remembered the dead zones, every species knew what humans were capable of when pushed. 17 worlds remained uninhabitable, 17 monuments to humanity's wrath and humanity's shame. They were declared off-limits, preserved as memorials. On Earth, a massive monument was built listing every world destroyed, every life lost. Billions of names carved in stone reminding humanity of the price of justice. Admiral Keiko Chen retired from military service. She spent her remaining years visiting the families of the 300,000 colonists who died on Terra 9. She attended memorials. She gave speeches about the cost of war, and she answered the question everyone wanted to ask: was it worth it? "I don't know," she would say honestly. "We saved millions of lives. We freed enslaved peoples. We created a more just galaxy, but we did it by destroying worlds, by killing billions, by becoming the very monsters we fought against. Was it worth it? Ask the children we saved from those secret facilities. Ask the Keleth who are now free. Ask any human who knows that their children will never be enslaved. They'll say yes, it was worth it." Then she would pause and add quietly, "But ask me and I'll tell you the truth. Every night I dream of Terra 9 burning. Every night I see those 17 dead zones. And every night I wonder if there was another way. A better way. A way that didn't require us to become monsters." 50 years after the war, Earth held a memorial service for Admiral Chen, who had died peacefully in her sleep at age 103. Representatives from 100 species attended. Even Valorians came, including General Kethix, now an old man himself. During the service, Kethix was asked to speak. He stood before the assembled dignitaries and told a simple truth. "Admiral Chen once told me that humanity became monsters so others wouldn't have to." She was right. The humans paid a terrible price for galactic justice. They carry guilt that others should share. The Galactic Council failed. My people failed. We created a system where the strong could abuse the weak legally, and we called it civilization. Humanity looked at that system and said no. They said they would rather be feared and hated than allow their people to suffer. They made the hard choice, the terrible choice, and the galaxy is better for it, even if we can never fully forgive them, even if they can never fully forgive themselves. He placed a flower on Chen's memorial and added, "Sleep well, Admiral. The dead zones remember, and because they remember, the galaxy is more careful with its laws, more protective of the weak, more just. Your legacy is measured in worlds destroyed and lives saved. I don't know if that's heroism or tragedy. Perhaps it's both. As the memorial service ended, a young human child asked her mother a question. "Mom, why are there dead zones? Why did we kill all those planets?" The mother knelt down and looked into her daughter's eyes. "Because sometimes, sweetheart, the only way to save lives is to show what you're willing to lose. The humans who destroyed those worlds died a little inside with each one, but they did it anyway, because protecting you, protecting all of us, was more important than protecting their souls. We honor them not because they were perfect, but because they sacrificed their peace of mind so we could live in peace." Were they heroes or villains? The mother smiled sadly. They were both. They were neither. They were humans who faced an impossible choice and made the only decision they could live with. Remember them. Remember the dead zones. And promise me you'll never forget that peace is always better than justice bought with blood. The child promised. The galaxy remembered, and the dead zones remained silent and dark, eternal warnings to any who would enslave another species. In the end, humanity earned its place in the galaxy not through diplomacy or cultural achievement or technological advancement. They earned it through fear and fire, through destruction and determination. They earned it by proving they would burn the galaxy down, rather than watch their children die in chains. Some called them heroes. Some called them monsters. Most called them both. But everyone called them free. And no species ever dared to enslave a human again. The price was 17 worlds. The cost was billions of lives. The legacy was a more just galaxy built on foundations of ash. And every night, somewhere on Earth, someone looked up at the stars and whispered the names of the dead. Zones remembering, grieving, grateful: Terra 9, Kishar 3, Xanthark 4, Valorian Prime 7, Hestrix, Major Thelmar Secundus, and 11 more. Never forgotten, never forgiven, never again.